You know you're getting washed up when you start enjoying like the very little things in life. I just got finished doing Wordle. And now Wordle, she is that girl. She has me on my P's and Q's. I'm over here squinting, okay, glasses down, trying to figure out a 5-letter word. Like I'm reading the newspaper, like I'm doing Scrabble. But I got it, okay? Maybe it was my last attempt, but we got it. Okay, so because those people who do it on the first attempt, you're cheating. Okay, you know somebody on the inside, or maybe you just got a dictionary. You're a loser. Okay,
no,
Bill.
Tomato.
You know. Welcome back to your YouTube channel. Thank you so much for coming back. So today we have another 10-minute recap on the myth, the legend, smoke and mirrors herself, Elizabeth Holmes. Now, I know that Hulu just came out with a TV show regarding the documentary that was a year ago on this little scandal. But I'm going to give you the true tea of the scandal that I watched on HBO, and let's get into it. So this scandal all started in Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley is famously known for every type of tech business startup that you could ever think of. It's where Windows and Dell and even Steve Jobs kind of formulated and kind of built their startup from the ground. Elizabeth Holmes is not your average girl. She is actually kind of a pariah in society, and even she was a pariah in the tech world for a while before she made her name claim to fame, and then the downfall of, well, a lot. So growing up, Elizabeth Holmes was never a very much social kid. In the documentary, it says that her best friends were actually books, which I get it. We all have those friends, but like also catch some sunlight every once in a while, especially if you look. I'm going to show you a photo. If you look at that, I feel like she could just use maybe a little bit of a tan. Go out with the girlies. So I'm going to fast forward when she finally gets accepted into Stanford. And in Stanford, this is where she started the concepts of her invention. So her invention is called the Edison. It's named after Thomas Edison, which is one of her muses, that and Steve Jobs. And you see that in her closet. In every picture that she takes, it's literally a carbon copy of what Steve Jobs would wear. The Edison is essentially an easy bake oven for blood testing. So all you have to do is just take a prick of your finger and get blood, and you put it in this container called the nanotainer, which is like, I tell you, it's like the most smallest thing. It's like a contact lens. And essentially you put it in the machine and it runs these tests, and it will give you all this information that you would get if no different if you went to Quest Lab to get a blood test. The reason why that she did this essentially is that she has a phobia of needles and giving blood and phlebotomy in general. She said that giving blood is essentially like torture. And it's essentially because her uncle, which I don't even know if this man exists. I don't even know if he's true because we ain't never seen a picture of the uncle. I don't even know the uncle's name. How do we even know? See, that's red flag number one. But her uncle, allegedly, essentially he had skin cancer that turned into brain cancer. And seeing her uncle and all this pain, getting all these various blood tests, always having needles stuck into his arm, is what gave her the inspiration to create a new way to do blood tests so that people don't have to suffer in pain and don't have to get a bunch of blood taken out of their bodies. And she just, believed that she could really turn and revolutionize the healthcare industry in general. When she was in college, she had a professor that was also her mentor that deliberately told her that essentially the way that physics work is that her machine does not match up. That the math in this, literally by textbook definition of physics, will not math for it to be a sound or ethical project to sell to people and to use to people.
It's impossible physically.
She told her that it's a great idea in theory, but in real life, like, this is not going to happen. And she said, okay. And she dropped out. So when she finally left Stanford, she started her company called Theranos. Now, Theranos was estimated at 10.5 billion dollars. And the reason how she got this money is that in Silicon Valley, the best way to get money is that you have to know other people and you got to kind of bullshit your way to the top, And she did this because her look and her aesthetic was that I know things. Okay. I went to Stanford. Alabama for a year. And no, I did not graduate, but that's because I'm above higher thinking, okay? Stanford, I don't need Stanford. Stanford needs me. Okay? That was her bread and butter. But a lot of people just took in good faith that what she said was real, actual facts. Did not research it, did not care to even further look into it. It was just how she looked, how excited she talked about her company and the project, that she had a lot of people who ended up being angel and seed investors into her company. Some of the people that invested into her company very early was Avi Tevanian. He was one of the original software people at Apple. And she also had George Shultz, who was the state secretary at that point in time. So you're talking about some real powerful people with a lot of money that just automatically were just interested in a woman coming into tech, and they said yes. The next person that we have that plays into the story, who also serves as a co-villain in the company, is Sunny Balwani. So Sunny Balwani is Elizabeth's, if it's not her husband, and I feel like they are married, but her longtime boyfriend for forever and a day. They are 19 years apart. And, you know, I know age is nothing but a number, but he was a CEO of a software IT company that he sold for, you know, a couple millions of dollars. And I truly believe the only reason why he got with Elizabeth is so that he could, A, fix his midlife crisis, but also be seen as somebody. I think in all of his startups that he was always involved in, they either failed or he was hidden in the shadows. And he said, this is my time to shine, baby. All right. I too was in Theranos, even though he knew nothing about like Theranos in general. But, you know, get in where you fit in, I guess. So their main competitors at the time for lab testing was Quest and LabCorp. Everybody goes to Quest and LabCorp. I know some people go to get that money with the plasma. I don't blame you. These two companies really reigned in lab testing, and the fact that the lab testing industry has not changed since like the 1940s, they were really kind of tapped in to see how can you actually do what we do, which is essentially like an 8 to 10, 12-hour job in the matter of magical to 1 to 2 hours. And it was a lot to prove with the Edison. It was a lot of bark, but no bite. As a lot of people invested more into the company, they really didn't know what they were doing, and they really didn't see the project of Edison. They knew nothing about it. Everything that they did within inside the company of Theranos was kept top secret for trade secret. If you ask for the schematics of the machine, if you even ask like exactly how does it work, Elizabeth would literally say, well, I can't discuss that. You know, the team says, you know, we can't because it's trade secrets. I got to talk to my lawyer. It just was a lot of smoke and mirrors. They eventually were able to get funding from Walgreens. And this is what became the downfall, the starting downfall of the company. So Walgreens signed a contract with Theranos. It was like a long-term contract where essentially they were going to open up a bunch of Walgreens in different locations as long as Theranos delivered enough machines for them to provide in each location. Now, here is the issue. Edison as itself, the machine, was actually not a finished product. It had a lot of work to do. It also wasn't, as her teacher told her, physically compatible to actually do the amount of blood tests. When she started portraying Edison to investors, she said that it could do a maximum of 90 tests. She then lied and upped that number up to over 200 tests, where like you could have, it's like a takeout menu of all the type of tests that you could get. And this can range from knowing if you have type 1 diabetes to even knowing if you have herpes or syphilis. And as great as that sounds, the machine itself could not physically do all of that. The main problems with the Edison is the fact that it just had a lot of compact compartments that you're trying to fit into a small amount size of a machine. It was also a very unsafe practice for the engineers. Essentially, like things would break inside the machine, blood would spill everywhere, containers would drop on the ground. And this is like actual blood from actual patients. As more Walgreens kept popping up, that means that they had to do more tests, or essentially trade secrets of testing, to keep up the lie that the Edison could just bang out these tests left and right. Like it's the Energizer Bunny. And that was not the case at all. In real reality, what was going on was the fact fact that they were using third-party technology and third-party machines to do the job of the machine that you had originally created.
Bruh.
Taking back 2 steps to go 1 step, maybe forward, a half a step. There's also another secret within Theranos, and it was a patent lawsuit that happened back in 2013, and it involved a scientist named Ian Gibbons. So Ian was one of the very first scientists to be hired by Theranos, and he loved the company, he loved what he did. And essentially, Elizabeth and the Edison, she was not the main sole inventor, shall I say, or really when growing within the project, it wasn't just her who had the intellectual property. There were other people that developed that software with her. And she wanted to keep that under wraps because you're messing with my brand, babes, okay? The sponsorships are going to know, and then they're going to drop you like a hot potato. And so Ian was going to testify in court regarding the technology of the Edison, and she tried to make him sign an NDA. They sent lawyers to his house. And during this time, she had David Boies on board within her legal team. And for those who don't know, David Boies is like one of the top lawyers to ever have in life. If you in some trouble and you call that man, I promise you, he will let you off scotty-free. He's like Olivia Pope. And the pressure with Ian, it got to him so much, weighing on his conscience of whether to do the right thing or stick with the lies of the company, that he unfortunately killed himself. And even the aftermath of his suicide, they didn't give not one flying food nanny about my guy. They even, the audacity of what they had, they asked his wife to send any type of documentation that he had regarding the company. You mind just sending it to the office? You mind just dropping it off? Know that you're grieving, but the work got to be done. Thanks. There also was just a lot of people on edge in general in the company as well. They have bulletproof windows. They keystroked every single employee, even up to the secretary. And so like keystroking essentially is that you can actually watch what I'm typing. They monitored emails. You had to have a key card to go everywhere, including the bathroom. I mean, they had security left and right. And it created a lot of tension in other departments to where they were so isolated that nobody knew what they were doing. And nobody trusted anybody either. It was like Among Us. Like real life. You walk into the office Monday morning and Joe comes in there and says, "Good morning, everybody. Hey, who wants to go out to breakfast? Team meeting?" They all looking around at this man. They say, "Yo, he a traitor. Meeting. Breakfast. Yo, you a traitor. We can't trust him." Got the secret meeting. Yo, we got to kill this man. I even never liked him from day one. You see his tie? Okay. And then you got Dylan in the back recording it all, saying, "This is my immunity. I'm about to tell corporate." So the way that the trade secret finally got exposed about the company and Edison, and even Elizabeth herself, was that there was a technician that worked at Theranos that was fired, and he ended up becoming a whistleblower to a reporter. He goes by John Carreyrou. He worked at the New York Times. And John took this information and he decided to do some sleuthing on his own and go to Arizona himself to go to one of the Walgreens and see how the testing was really done. And when John walked into the Walgreens and he asked for, the new Edison testing, he was told, "Oh, well, because of your blood work and your paperwork, we actually, on top of doing the Edison, had to do a Varanus test by sticking the needle inside of his arm to take actual blood." And he was very confused. He said, "Por qué?" He realized that when people were coming for inspection for the company, they actually never saw the Edison, the true work of the Edison. They never went on the actual lab floor. They only saw the pretty parts. And never really about like people running around trying to get these lab results done. They had people coming, I don't know if it's from the FDA or some type of federation, but they had people come into the building and say, "Oh, well, we can do your lab work here." And then once they were walking around giving the tour for the building, you had other scientists and technicians using third-party machines to print out the results and then slapping on the Edison before they came back. And so eventually what happened was that John ended up writing an article and it released on the Wall Street Journal about the truth of the company. And Elizabeth read it and she was like, lies. And everybody else read it and it was a complete shock because here is this woman that passionately talks about changing the healthcare industry, passionately talking about her company. All of it is a sham, that she is the whiz and the curtain is down. And we know now. In her interviews, she completely denied. She actually said that until she was investigated by the FDA and other companies that are involved with those regulations, that she had no knowledge about what was going on, that she was being lied to by her employees, and that she felt some type of distrust. This is exactly how she talks to. Very low register. And So once the trade secret was out, she actually carried out business as usual. She ended up being appointed in Harvard Medicine on the board or something of that some sort the same day that the article was published. And when she was notified about it and they're trying to say, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to answer? Are you going to come out with a statement? She just carried it on. She was like, I'll get to it later. And it was really disrespectful. It was in bad taste. Even in her interviews, how she just denied about all types of allegations, blamed it on her employees, and really trying to say that they are the ones that corrupted the company, even though you didn't share information with nobody. See, the plot holes are coming. It really just kind of showed how she disassociated with morals and ethics, if she had them even, from the beginning. There's a lot of theories that reporters had when they covered the case that she essentially was in self-delusion and grandeur from the beginning. That she just told herself that she was doing a good thing and she didn't care how it got done. But as long as her mind that the Edison came into existence, that she manifested. She manifested and she made sure the manifestation happened. That's the thing. She didn't let the manifestation do the work. She just said, I'm going to just manifest and just push through. And it doesn't matter, at what cost. There is no cost. The FDA banned the use of the nanotator due to safety. It also got exposed the fact that when during her campaign, she talked about how she had trade secrets with the military and that she used a subliminal line that the military came out with new technology that they were going to use on the battlefield, that she lined it up with her intentions, that they were talking about Theranos. She also got a little too much chip on her dip because the FDA did approve a small test to use for herpes, but that doesn't mean that the Edison itself was cleared to use for the common people. Along with that, the CMS, which is another inspection company within the healthcare industry, took it away, the right to operate the lab in general. Just shut it down. They did an inspection. They said, who ran this place? Who out here gave them the lease? Somebody ain't do their job. And they snatched it away. They said, this is just, and that came from a letter from an employee, an ex-employee, that essentially whistleblew and wrote about their concerns within the company. So in all, it all came downhill. The house came down on the Wicked Witch of Silicon Valley. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Be careful out there. Always just do it right. Do it right or don't do it at all. And I understand shortcuts exist, but don't do this shortcut because she was shortcut out of all her $400 million. I mean, she's down to zero. What's the point? And I'll catch you guys in the next one.